Good morning. I'm Kevin Taylor. I'm one of the campus pastors here at Cedar Creek Church. Thank you so much for joining us to worship today. If you have not done so, we want to encourage you to download our app just so you have all the information and links available for anything Cedar Creek that can be with you. And if you are new here, there's a link on the social media platform you're on that says new here. Just click that, give us a little information about you, and we would love to send you a free shirt just our way of saying thank you so much for worshiping with us. There's a chat feature, again, on the social media platform that you're on. If you have any questions, want to make any comments, we would just love to hear from you. So please engage with that chat feature because there's an online host on all of our platforms. We would love to hear from you. And be sure and check out the links that are available there also. Plenty of links to help you connect. In just a minute, we're going to be joining our senior pastor, Philip Lee, for a life applicable message. But before that, let's get to some worship music.
Good morning, Cedar Creek. Why don't you stand and worship with us? When night has fallen, when fear is coming, still you're calling me. When faith is lost and my hope exhausted, you will be my strength. When my mind says I'm not good enough, God, you're enough for me. I've decided I'm not giving up. You won't give up on me. You won't give up on me. Your love is holding on and it won't let go. I feel it breaking out like an echo. Your love is holding on and it won't let go.
Amen, and good morning, Cedar Creek. Thank you so much. You can grab a seat. So great to be here with you today on a beautiful day. I apologize that none of you evidently made the cut in the Masters, or if you did, maybe you're late in the final round. Either way, we're grateful to have you here. So honored and encouraged to have you with us. And I want to say a special welcome to you if you're new with us this morning. We're so grateful to have you, whether you're here from out of town or you're just checking us out for the first time and you're from right here locally. We're so honored to have you be a part of the Cedar Creek Church family. And we believe that we are a family, and we'd love to welcome you to the family. And one of the ways that we do that is if you're here with us at the Banks Mill campus, if at the end of the service you'll swing by our VIP section right over here on my left, you are right. Some of our staff as well as some of our guest services team will be standing by that would just love to answer any questions that you might have about what it looks like to belong here and how you can take a next step in connecting here. The same's true if you're joining us online this morning. We're so glad to have you. And if you're new with us right now on whatever platform you're watching on, a link's being posted. If you'll take a second just to fill that out, share some info about yourself with us. We'd love to welcome you to the family, answer any questions that you have. And whether you go by the VIP or do that online this morning, we have a gift just to say thank you so much for being here. And we're honored and privileged to have you. There's always a ton of exciting stuff going on around Cedar Creek. That's true as we transition into spring and then into summer. And we want you to stay connected. We're a church about next steps, and we want you to stay connected and able to take next steps, whatever it is that God lays on your heart. The best way to do that is to download the Cedar Creek Church app. That's available on the Apple App Store, the Google Play Store, Android App Store. All of that kind of stuff is available for you, and we would love for you to download that. It's a great way for you to connect, not just with information, but you can actually reach out to us and get more information about specific things that you're looking for. Whatever it may be, we are a church that desires for you to be connected, and we're excited that you've chosen to connect with us here this morning. We believe that God's going to do a profound work, an encouraging work, and we're excited to have you here. Will you stand with me as we continue to worship this morning?
flushed out the wonder of life. And as you speak, 100 billion galaxies are born. In the vapor of your breath, the planets form. If the stars were made to worship, so will I can see your heart in everything you've made. Every burning star, a signal fire of grace. If creation sings your praises, so will I. So will I. God of your promise, you don't speak in vain, no syllable empty or void. For once you have spoken, all nature and science follow the sound of your voice. Ooh, and as you speak, 100 billion creatures catch your breath, evolving in pursuit of what you said. If it all reveals your nature, so will I can see your heart in everything you say. Every painted sky, a canvas of your grace. If creation still obeys you, so will I. So if the stars were made to worship, so will I. If the mountains bow in reverence, so will I. If the oceans roar your greatness, so will I. For if everything exists to lift you high, so will I. If the wind goes where you send it, so will I. If the rocks cry out in silence, so will I. If the sum of all our praises still falls shine, then we'll sing again 100 billion times. God of salvation, you chased out my heart through all of my failure and pride. On a hill you created, the light of the world, abandoned in darkness to die. And as you speak, 100 billion
so much that that's the truth. What we've sung this morning rings true. I pray that we would live our lives in light of that truth. We're here to celebrate it. We love you. It's in your holy and precious name we pray. Amen.
Good morning again, Cedar Creek. Thank you so much. If you have a Bible, you can grab it, open it. John chapter 15 is where we will hang out. We'll flip back a couple of chapters, but we'll be all in the book of John today, so it should be really easy for you to track along, whether you have a hard copy of a Bible or you're following along in the app or whatever it may be. If you don't know who I am, my name is Rick. I'm the adult ministry director here at our Banks Mill campus, and I get to fill in the next couple of weeks for our senior pastor, Philip, as they are away with our global outreach partners, serving on a medical campaign with our partners down in Guatemala. And so I need to ask for your grace and mercy as we get started. First, my allergies have started to flare up now 2 weeks after the entire world was yellow for some reason, so I'm late to the party, but I'm here now. So if my voice cracks a little bit, yours did too when you were 12, and I ask you not to laugh at me or shame me for that, okay? That's number one. I just want to get us all on the same page there. Second, I have long been accused of being a passionate fellow. When I get excited about something, like most people operate maybe on a scale of 1 to 10 when it comes to passion and ferocity and that kind of thing, I probably operate on a scale of 5 to 10, okay? So I can get fired up and I can go. Now, here's what I recognize. If I get super excited, one of my tendencies is maybe to get going a little bit faster than I should. Now, I would like to tell you to think faster if I talk faster, but that's not okay. So here's what we're going to do. I give you permission. The early 90s movie, Angels in the Outfield. All right, anybody remember that one? Any hands? Yeah, okay. Great movie. If not, go home and watch it. It's a good one. You can just stand up and we'll do the Angels in the Outfield sign, okay? And I'll see you and I'll know, Rick, you got to exhale, you got to breathe. I laid off of the coffee this morning, but I am excited to be here, particularly in this series. We are in week 2 of a series called Better Now, where we're coming out of Easter strategically looking back at what we celebrated at Easter and what we celebrated at the resurrection, what we celebrated on Good Friday, all of those events that led up to what we celebrated on Easter Sunday, and asking the question, what impact should they have on our lives now? Specifically, we're asking the question, what impact should they have on our relationships now? And so last week we laid the foundation in week 1 of some just practical advice for having better relationships now in light of what Jesus has done on our behalf. And the first reason that I'm excited to continue that is because I think in the instant gratification culture that we live in, we are unbelievably quick to shut the book on something that we should pay much more attention to. We started this series and unpacked even beginning Easter Sunday with the realization that Jesus' death, burial, and resurrection are the most important events in human history. In all of human history, this is the most important event. But it feels as though even for us in the Christian culture, what we've done is we spend weeks, months, an entire season of the year celebrating Christmas, which is great. That's a celebration of God leaving His glory to come and dwell with us. But we're never commanded in the Bible to remember Christmas. We are commanded over and over and over and over and over again to remember Jesus' death and Jesus' resurrection. And so I'm excited to be here because I want to prevent us doing that with Easter. I want us to prevent us being a week of pastels and Easter egg hunts and deviled eggs and all of those kind of things, and then we brush it alongside, because it's not only the most important event because it's how we measure time, but it's the most important event because it impacts how we handle everything. For those of you in this room who are believers in Jesus Christ, an understanding of what happened at Easter and Good Friday, at the end of Jesus' perfect life, gives you permission to walk in freedom that I don't believe many of us have experienced. And I think the reason that we don't experience it is because we've never sat in it long enough to realize what we're free to and what we're free from. And so I think this series is an unbelievable good spot for us to examine one of the most important things in our lives, being relationships, how we relate to one another. In addition to the fact that I don't want to close the book too quickly on Easter, the other reason that I'm excited is because all of us right now find ourselves at this pivotal moment in history where, despite being the most connected that we've ever been as a society, we are also the most separated that we've ever been as a society. I read a study this week that said 75% of surveyed people under the age of 18 report significant feelings of loneliness in their life. The same study that said greater than 40% of adults over the age of 18 feel the same way. I would contend, and this is just me, I don't have any scientific evidence to back this, although I've been in counseling and done a lot of meetings with a lot of people in ministry that would back this. I would contend that the difference in 40 and 75% in adults and kids is just because adults are better at lying. And so that's where we are. So despite the fact that it's unbelievably easy for you to pick up the phone, for you to look at someone, I could call our senior pastor Philip right now on FaceTime and see his face even though they are in Guatemala. And I could talk to him. I could see what they're doing on Facebook. We have a communications director that works here that does an unbelievable job making sure that we're all connected, making sure that we're all plugged in, making sure that we're all able to take the next steps. And despite all of that, the trend in the society that we live in is not towards more connection and more meaning and more sustenance in our relationships, but towards more fracturing, more brokenness, and more emptiness and more surface level in our relationships. And then the crazy thing that we do in response to it, and I thought about this, the first real social media, I kind of thought about the evolution of social media as it's happened over the past, 20 or 30 years as it's become an increasingly popular thing. Is it started with MySpace, right? And MySpace was kind of short-lived. I think it was because of the best friend thing that just set you up for unneeded drama that you didn't need to have in your life for people to be able to see who your best friend was, and you had to fight over all that kind of stuff, and nobody needed that. And it migrated to Facebook. Right? And then Facebook showed up on the scenes, and then you might not remember this. Facebook was just for people with a .edu email address when it first came out. You had to be a college student. It was for college students to connect with one another. And then Facebook got spread to everyone, right? So then it was what young people got on, and old people were mad about it, right? Like, I don't know why they're on that Facebook. They can't just talk to each other. They don't do it. And now, Facebook, older people, you've taken it over, okay? And you've got recipes and dog photos, and we're all happy for you to be there. Welcome. You can have it. And the young people have migrated. Then it went to Twitter, right? Because we didn't want to know all of your thoughts. We just want 140 characters of your thought. But then that didn't work. Now you can tweet however long you want to. I think it's called X now. And we came out with things like Snapchat. Like, I just want a shot. Just give me a boom. And then it's gone and it's deleted and it's gone forever. And Instagram. And I thought about this evolution, right? And we could talk about that for years and years and years. And so as these things didn't deliver on what we hoped they would, that the promise that they made from the very beginning is that you're going to be more connected, you're going to be more plugged in, you're going to be more relationally minded, you're going to have more friends, you're going to lack loneliness, if you will. We're going to do away with that. The solution when Facebook didn't work and then we brought more people in, what continued to evolve was, let's just double down on these artificial relationships we've created and then we'll filter up. So let's not make it more meaningful, more connective. Let's make it more fake, but on the surface more pretty, so that people can somehow on the surface mask the fact that all of us feel completely alone and separated from one another. And I'm really passionate about this because we talk about it all the time. It's on our t-shirt if you go to the VIP section, that we are better together. And so my question for us believers, especially in the room this morning, is, are we? Are we better together? Or are we, just like the rest of culture, drinking from this toxic tap that says, well, you can know just as much as I want you to know. You can be just as connected as I would like for you to be connected with me. And I really just want you to see my grass when it looks like Augusta National, not when there's weeds everywhere. I don't want you to see what's going on in my life. I don't want you to see that I struggle. And as a result, we paint this facade and then we come out in public and none of us are okay not being okay. So we give in to loneliness because it's the only answer, because we've terrified ourselves to remove the filters that we've painted. But I hope that you'll see this morning that Easter, and what Jesus did in leaving heaven, dying in our place and raising from the dead, is going to free us, for those of us who have a relationship with him. So the kind of guiding question that I want to ask this morning, we'll try to answer it together, and you can begin to jot it down right now. It's just simple. What is friendship? What is friendship? That's what I want to unpack this morning. We're going to do this in John chapter 15. Jesus is going to give us some really, really practical advice on what it looks like to be friends with someone. If you're not familiar with the book of John, this section kind of fits into a bigger narrative in John's gospel called the farewell discourse, where Jesus has kind of transitioned from his teaching and his miracles and all those things. Some of those things still show up here, but the primary objective of this back section of the book of John is that Jesus is beginning to prepare the people who are following him, watching him, listening him for what is going to happen on Good Friday. That he is preparing them for his death. So this is, I want you to imagine, maybe you go to visit a loved one in the hospital and these are the last words. Jesus knows as sovereign God what is coming, all of those kind of things. When it's coming, it's all laid out before him. And so he spends the last little bit of his life going, hey, I need you guys to get this because it's important. And so I want you to understand that, because as we talk about friendship, the very beginning of it, I want you to understand is that it's important. It's going to be important for a variety of reasons, but I want you to look at how Jesus starts this conversation with his disciples. In John chapter 15, verse 15, he says this: "No longer do I call you servants, for the servant does not know what his master is doing, but I have called you friends." And then I want you to notice Jesus is going to say why he's called them friends. He's going to qualify what a friend is here. "For all that I have heard from my Father, I have made known to you." For all that I have heard from my Father, I made known to you. This verse is so much bigger than we probably realize on initially unpacking it if you're not familiar with the biblical text and what's going on here in first century Judaism and what it meant to be a God, a Yahweh worshiper for the early Jew. You see, the only people who would be called friends of God up to this point in all of the pages of Scripture are people like Moses and Abraham. And so now Jesus, sitting with his disciples, who has made the proclamation over and over and over again, I am God, I am the Messiah, I am the one that you have waited from, has now broadened that net to include the disciples and to include all of us. That no longer do we have to be some sort of theological giant called by a burning bush. Father Abraham had many sons had Father Abraham. Now that song's stuck in your head the rest of the day and you're welcome for it, all right? No longer do you have to be that level of giant of the faith to be called a friend of God. Jesus is saying, I have called you friend, not because of what you have done, but because of what I am doing. We're going to come back to that, but I want you to file that away. And the second reason that we can miss the importance of this passage and how unbelievably massive this declaration is that Jesus is making to his disciples is we might not understand what friendship was in the first century. We come to it again with this generation's mindset of, well, friends are just people that you post on Facebook and they give you pediatrician recommendations, right? Like, my friends are just the people that, like, if I need something, maybe they show up, maybe they don't. I throw it out there. They help me find a babysitter. They recommend this. They recommend that. And that's what friendship is. But for the first century Jew, that's massively different. It stands on the complete opposite end of the spectrum from what a friend looked like. In Jesus' time frame, we have three distinct types of friendship that are referenced. The first is political friendship. And political friendship means they would say things like, I'm a friend of Caesar. It has very little meaning to our actual life. It's just kind of an abstract thing. It would almost be like, I'm a friend of the Republican Party, or I'm a friend of the Democratic Party, or I'm a friend of the United States, or I'm a friend of whatever you want to throw in there. It's just that surface level. I am a friend with this massive concept as a whole. I am in agreement with it. And so it's just a surface level thing. The second, and a very common one, is a benefactor-client friendship. And this is kind of the relationship that's I'll scratch your back if you scratch mine. In the first century, these relationships existed primarily between the wealthy and the poor. The poor needed help from the wealthy in obvious ways, and then the wealthy, when they needed it, would come and call upon the poor to return the favor, whether it would be support in a political run or something like that, where they needed someone to support them or help them or build a home or do those kind of things. And so those relationships exist, benefactor-client. But the third category of friendship, and the one that Jesus' language is referencing here, is a category of mutual friendship. It's a friendship where both of us are involved in this, completely invested in this. It's what we would think about when you were a kid. I got a reminder of what this looks like this week. On Monday, my wife and I had the opportunity to take our 5-year-old daughter, Piper, to the Masters, right? And so we went over there. Did I try to use her to get Tiger Woods' autograph? Yes, I did. Did it work? No, it didn't. Tiger, if you're watching this, I'm still after it. If you're free after you're done this morning, I really appreciate you coming by the house. You're not far. Sign something for me. We'll be good, okay? But Piper was super excited to get autographs. And so I bought her a few years ago a pink Masters hat. And so she took it over there. And at Augusta National, there's a little autograph area for kids, right? So you have to be under 16, I think, or something like that. And you can go in there. And it's right by the driving range. So the players come over there and they kind of sign for the kids. And so Piper's over there and she gets a few big name golfers to sign her hat. And so she's super excited about it, right? And so she's like, I'm going to stay here and try to get autographs. She made it until lunchtime. And that was as long as she could take it at the Masters. And then she went home. And so she went home with some of her buddies, and we stayed for the rest of the day at the Masters. And then when we came home, Piper said, Dad, I got more autographs on my hat. And I was like, from whom? Because I don't know where you were. Like, did you go to the grocery store and you were just asking like random, like the cash register? Like, no. She said, no, I got it from my best buddies. And I was like, okay. And so Piper, I've shared this before, Piper's best buddies are a collection of girls that are all like in their mid-20s to mid-30s, okay? So those are her best friends. And so I look at her hat, right? She brings it to me. And sure enough, she's got autographs all over her hat from her best friends. But underneath the autographs from her best friends, she's autographed it for them too. So their name is under it. And then one of her bestest best friends, Ash, her name is signed right in the middle of the Augusta National logo, which made me chuckle because that's like where Tiger Woods and Jack Nicklaus and the people who have won the Masters over and over, like the champions of champions, would sign it. And so Piper's hat now right in the middle has this collection of golfers on the bill and then her best friends, and then it says Ash right in the middle of the Augusta National logo that she wrote with her own handwriting. And then on the back, to complete it, just in case she forgets where the strap is, it now says Piper in Sharpie. She signed it for herself too. And I realized, I was like, Piper, why did you get them to sign it? She was like, because they're my friends. I was like, that's a picture of friendship, right? Like we took her over here, and for us in the American culture, we're consumed with celebrity status and how many friends we can get and how many likes we can get and how important the person that friends us is. And original friendship, this heartfelt friendship says, no. These are the people that I've entered into a relationship with. And here's what's really beautiful about that, and the reminder that I was given. If Piper was running right now and fell and skinned her knee, those friends are the ones she's going to. And I use that reference because that's the difficulty of life. If Piper was confused about something or frustrated with something or struggling with something, those are the ones that she would talk to. Those are the ones that she would share it with. You see, for her, that friendship, those are nouns. Those are people. But in our culture, we've shifted friendship from a noun to a verb. Just click this. Just do this. Just dance this dance. Just believe this thing. Just answer this way. Just like these birthdays. Just say happy birthday on Facebook and your friends. And I want to ask the question, why? Like, we've already looked at the statistics that this isn't working, that it's not delivering on what it was promised on, and nobody in here in their right mind would probably come up to me after this and argue. Right? Like, no, I think you can have real, genuine friendships on Facebook. Nobody's making that argument. No one. But we continue to run there. Why? The first reason that I believe we continue to run there is because we've confused intimacy with sexuality. That what we believe is that the only way for you to be intimate with someone, the only way for you to intimately know someone, the only way for you to intimately be involved in someone's life is through sex. And as a result of that, we've robbed ourselves of the ability or the desire to see that Jesus qualifies. The first thing that he qualifies friendship as is that what? I have made known to you all that my Father has told me. That I want you invested in every aspect of my life. That friendship says, no. I don't just want you to see the filter. I want you to see when the filter's gone. I want you to see that I'm broken, I'm busted, I'm desperate, but I can be broken and busted and desperate with you. The only way that we're better together is if we're together when it's not convenient for us to be together. That we become a people who are not, how are you, I'm fine. It's, how are you? Man, I'm struggling. Man, I'm battling. Man, I'm wrestling. Man, I can't figure these things out. Man, it's not adding up. But we're terrified of that. Right now, some of you in this room are probably battling social anxiety just thinking about, wait, you want me to tell people my secrets? You know, the Hebrew word unbelievably closely related to the word in the ancient Hebrew for secret. That there's an aspect of friendship that allows those in your life to counsel you as you counsel them. But the only way that that happens effectively is that we remove barriers and say, I'm all in. You can sign the Augusta National logo in the middle of my hat. And I think the heartbreaking part and where the good news begins to get good, but we need to start in the bad, is that for many of us, there's really two reasons that we feel that anxiety, and there's two reasons that we throw those filters up. And there's a flip side of the exact same coin, and the two reasons are shame and pride. And the reason that I say there's a flip side of the exact same coin is because shame and pride are both rooted in the idol of self. My shame is rooted in the most important thing about me is what I have done. Interestingly enough, pride is the exact same way. I am prideful because of all that I have accomplished. The most important thing that I have done is the platform that I have built for myself. So it's the same argument from the opposite side of the coin. And because we battle with shame and pride, what happens is that our counterfeit relationships become comfy because they never cause us to wrestle with the real issues that present themselves in our lives. But if we continue reading in verse 16, Jesus is going to remedy this. And I love this passage. Circle this, read this, put it on your mirror this week. John 15, verse 16, Jesus continues the conversation. You did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you that you should go and bear fruit, and that your fruit should abide, so that whatever you ask my Father in my name, he may give it to you. Again, don't skim over this. This is radical. This pivots everything that the guys sitting around the circle for this conversation would have believed about a relationship with God, and it pivots maybe for what you believe. Because what's happened for us in the Bible Belt is that we have made it this effort to be this, to behave this way, to dance this dance, to dress this way, to have these answers, to be a good person, to be a good husband, to be a good wife, to have the right answers, to dance the right dance. And then and only then are you somehow invited to the party that is the good news of the gospel. The good news of the gospel starts with the fact that you only bring your brokenness to it. That all we bring to what happened that first Easter is not that we were praying, begging God to move, not that we were somehow trying to perform in such a way that we could earn Jesus' behavior. It was that Jesus looked at our brokenness and left heaven. And so all we brought to the equation is our brokenness, and Jesus brought his perfection. And so perfection isn't the requirement. And so for those of you who struggle with pride, I want to ask you a question. Aren't you tired? Like for real, I'm asking you to remove the filter. And I know the pride inside of you right now is trying to convince you, no, you're not, you're fine. You're fine. Toughen up. Especially men in the room. Look at me. Aren't you tired? Stick your chest out, you're fine. Nothing can hurt you. No, you've got it all together. Look at all you've accomplished. Look at all the jobs that you've done. Look at your relationships. Look at all of these things that you've accomplished in your life. Look at all of this that you've built. Surely you deserve whatever it is that everyone else is getting. And so you bring that white-knuckled, this whole thing of like, here's what I have, Jesus, now love me. And Jesus is going, I don't care about any of that. I already did. I don't need the performance. I don't need the effort. I don't need you to be some better version of yourself than you were 10 years ago. I don't need you to still be hitting your New Year's objective now that we're in April. I don't need any of that. What I do need is you to know and to fully be known by me. And then the flip side of the coin, for those of you who are shameful in the room, who battled this idea, I'm not good enough for friendships. Rick, if you know what I've done, if you know the things that I've done, if you know the things that I've said, if you know the things that I've wrestled with, or here's when I get a lot, if you know the thoughts that went through my mind, you would understand that this isn't for me, that I'm not qualified. And here's why this John 15 verse 16 is so radical for you. Jesus has never one time asked God the Father what the exchange policy is on his death. And what I mean by that is you've never sinned in so great a way that Jesus regretted doing what he did. That Jesus, being fully God, sovereignly knew every single sin in your life, past, present, future, even the things you haven't done yet. And because of that, went to the cross. And so you can walk out of shame. You can experience freedom, because here's where I want you to start. Our friendships here for believers are only as effective as our willingness to know and be known by the Jesus who has saved us. And you will never get to that spot as long as you hang on to pride and as long as you hang on to shame. Because as long as you hang on to those two things, you're exhausted and your entire life is about you. And mutual friendship requires that we would know and be known. And here's the freedom for us as Christ followers, and I don't want you to miss this. Jesus already knows. Some of us are running around like, well, I got this sin hidden really good. Nobody knows about this sin. Nobody knows about this sin. I'm like, no, he knows everything. And we're exhausting ourselves trying to mow over the weeds of our yard so that nobody knows that we struggle, and nobody knows that we're not perfect, and nobody knows that we're struggling and we're wrestling and we don't have it all together and we're not a good Christian boy or girl, or we're trying to struggle and hide it from God. And all the while Jesus is going, I already know I died for it so that you can be free from it. Let it go. Come and be known. Then if we back up, Jesus is going to really tie a bow on all of this in John chapter 13, So you flip back a couple of pages. This is where it really lands on the ground for us as believers. Jesus says this, and these are super familiar words, starting in verse 34. A new commandment I give to you, that you love one another. Just as I have loved you, you also are to love one another. By this, all people will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another. I need to back up because I don't want you to miss the reason that I started and unpacked all that I did at the beginning of this in this order. Our ability to fulfill this commandment is 100% dependent on receiving, understanding, and walking in the complete and total forgiveness that Jesus has offered us. Because until we understand that, and we unpacked this a little bit last week, until we understand that love, that forgiveness, we will never be able to walk in love and forgiveness with the people that we do life with, ever. You know, we started kind of with the bad news of society, of all the statistics of people who feel lonely, of all the brokenness that we feel and see in the world around us. But if I can, I want to put this before you, and you may disagree, and that's fine. That reality of the current condition of the world that we find ourselves in presents us as believers an opportunity like never before to paint onto a canvas of brokenness what beautiful relationships look like. The world's desperate for relationships. The world's desperate for hope. The world's desperate. Here's the thing. Do you know why social media exists? Because all of us long to be known. Intrinsically inside of us, even those of you who are introverted, you just desire to be known by fewer people, and that's fine. Some of you who are extroverted probably need to learn a lesson. You don't need to be known by everyone. But all of us from birth are born, wired by God with a desire to know Him, to be known by Him, and then to know others. It's where that slogan comes from. We are better together because God created us to be together. We started this series out with the idea that following Jesus is not sunshine and rainbows. Here's what I want you to understand. It's hard. I have, in less than 15 years of ministry, walked with people battling addiction, trying to follow Jesus. Marriages on the rocks, trying to follow Jesus. Unbelievable weight of terrible financial decisions, trying to follow Jesus. Divorces, trying to follow Jesus. Childhood and parenting, and trying to do all of those things, trying to follow Jesus. And none of it is easy. And here's what I'm going to tell you. You will fail at all of it alone. All of it. And even if it doesn't fail and it on the surface succeeds, you have robbed yourself of the fullness of joy that Jesus created you to walk in by forsaking the gift that Jesus has given you of other believers who are there to walk alongside you and go, hey, let me help, let me wrestle, let me do that. It's the reason that we beg you to get in home groups, but I'm going to take it a step farther and I'm going to beg you. You want to know what friendship is? I want to beg you to let somebody into your life that would know you fully. And again, I'm not talking about sex. This is so much deeper than that. Someone who would go, hey man, here's my thoughts, here's my struggles. I listened to one of the pastors that I look up to greatly, the pastors of church out in Texas, says that he has a collection of 3 guys who are not on his staff at his church. One of them is in his church and 2 of them are completely disconnected, that have complete access to everything. And this is going to blow your mind, right? But I want you to see how beautiful this ends up being. When I say complete access to everything, they have all of his logins. And when I say all of his logins, I mean all of his logins. All of them. For everything. That every year in April or however, I guess, get after it he's feeling, they get his tax returns. That he has on a program called Covenant Eyes on his phone, that at any moment they can see what he's looking at on his phone, what he's looking at on his computer, all of those kind of things he can see. And some of you are like, no way, there's no way I would ever do that. And right there, even as I'm describing it, there's the problem that exists in society. What he has done is free himself from everything. Because what are you going to bring to that guy? He's like, I live in complete freedom. Nobody's ever going to come up to me and go, hey, I found something out about you. He'd be like, okay, shoot. And there's freedom to go, hey, I am fully known by these guys that I completely trust. And inside of that, they lend their help in situations where I may walk into blind spots that rob me of the fullness of joy that Jesus created me to walk in. That's friendship. I'm not telling you that you need to share your tax returns with people. I'm telling you that if 140 characters or a verse on your Facebook status is the deepest that your relationships ever get, we're not doing it right. And we're not experiencing joy. And that at some point, not far down the road, the wheels are going to come off. And the pastors of this church are going to try to be here for you, and we will be there as much as we can. But we've begged you, and will continue to beg you, to know and to be known by people. Because the last reason that I want to look at that we would do that is because that canvas of our current culture that's so broken. When we get this, when we're a church that understands the freedom that we've been given as a result of the gospel of Jesus Christ to know God fully, to know one another fully, and to walk in complete openness and transparency, because my greatest failures don't define me, nor do my greatest successes. We begin to paint a picture on that broken canvas of the authenticity that this world is desperate for. But it starts with one step. Arrange a breakfast. Go to lunch. Sit down with someone. And be honest. Maybe give them a heads up. That would probably be a good idea. Don't just sit down with them blindly and go, hey, I'm going to tell you my deepest, darkest secrets, and you had no time to prepare for this. Go now. But enter into a meaningful relationship. That in finding a meaningful relationship, we might experience the completeness of joy that God created us to walk in. And when unimaginable sorrows that are guaranteed on this side of heaven come crashing into the door of your life, you have somebody to hold back the water with you. Jesus is there. He's not going anywhere. But there's something unbelievably powerful and joy-giving about a brother, about a sister who says, I'll stand here with you. I'll fight with you. I don't give a crap what it is. We fight together. Always. Will you pray with me? Jesus, this morning I thank you. God, I thank you and I pray that none of us would miss how radical the good news of the gospel is. That you're not a God who says, come and clean up, perfect yourself, be better, try harder, do more. If you can just get this answer right, then I'll meet you in this relationship. That you're a God who said, while you were at your most wrong, that your word says, while we were still sinners, while we were still actively rebelling against you, your step in friendship was to move toward us. So my prayer is, Jesus, first that we would come to you. That this morning, maybe for the first time, we would receive your invitation to lay it all down. Whether that's coming up to the front, kneeling at the altar, pinning it to the cross on the sides of the room, or just right where we are with our heads bowed and our eyes closed and our hands open saying, Jesus, it's all yours. I confess. I repent. And then, Jesus, my prayer is for those of us who make that step. Maybe for the first time, maybe for the millionth time. That you would grant us through the power of your Spirit the courage to plug in. To build a relationship with someone who can help us continue to walk in that. Continue to realize that we have the freedom to be known because of all that you've done. Jesus, may we see all of this not as a burden, but as an invitation to joy. Because that's what you've created us to walk in, and we thank you for that. We love you, Jesus. It's in your name we pray. Amen. In just a second, we're going to close, and the worship team will lead us in one more song. I really do want to encourage you, and I can't force you, and there's no way for me to monitor on the app or anything like that, that you take a next step in inviting someone in. But I do want to tell you there's a number of ways that maybe are a little bit more comfortable for you to do that. There's a variety of ways for you to at least connect, take a first step in connecting. The first is the one that we talk about all the time, that you can take the CedarCreekChurch app out. You can go by the Welcome Center out there and get plugged in to get more information about a home group. You can look at info about the home groups that we do have. But if you're not even ready to take that next step, maybe a great next step for you would be to connect with others through serving. To give 1-2 weeks a month. To get plugged in, to get to know someone, to get to recognize a face in this giant room. I referenced earlier in the service that we're family. And what that means is just like every family, we got issues. We're going to hurt each other. But even in that, we're going to walk in grace because that's what we've experienced. So maybe plugging in and serving and getting connected with someone is an invitation for you to experience that fullness of joy that Jesus is calling you to as a result of what he did. Whatever it is, I pray that you would take that step, that you would meaningfully take that step today. But for now, we're going to close in worship. So will you stand with me as we close our time together?
God of salvation, you chased down my heart through all of my failure and pride. On a hill you created, the light of the world, abandoned in darkness to die. And as you speak, 100 billion failures disappear. Where you lost your life so I could find it here. If you left the grave behind you, so will I can see your heart in everything you've done. Every part designed in a work of art called love. If you gladly chose surrender, so will I can see your heart a billion different ways. Every precious one, a child you died to save. If you gave your life to love them, so will I. Like you would